Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. My name is Dee and I love to cook. You name it, I'll try it, then I'll cook it. Most of my dishes will have a Jamaican flair, but I'm happy to try every other cuisine. Join me, won't you, as I cook dishes from Jamaica, the Caribbean, and around the world. Of course, in the description section, I'll be sure to include recipes and where possible, I will leave hints of where to source the ingredients. I'm usually preparing food for three very hungry tummies, so let's make it short and spicy. Today, I will be preparing peppered steak. The cut of meat you're seeing here is a sirloin. As you can see, I've been cutting it in thin slices. I like this cut of meat because it has quite a bit of marbling throughout. And as you can see here, it's very fatty. So basically the marbling is the fat that is interspersed throughout the meat. The extra fat that surrounds the meat, I'll be cutting those off because those are really mainly connective tissues and they're harder to break down. So I will continue to cut the meat and I'll also continue to trim the fat and then prepare it for seasoning. So the meat has been washed and prepped, and now it's time to be seasoned. First, I'll go in with my onion powder. I don't know, I just always seem to like to use the onion before I use the garlic. And of course, those two go together. If I'm using onion, I'm going to be using garlic. And I use about a teaspoon of each. And then I like to add Old Bay to my seasoning because it just makes everything taste better. And of course, some black pepper, same amount, about a teaspoon, and then some soy sauce. I believe I doubled the amount of soy sauce used, so there you see 2 tablespoons. So I would say I used 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. So after adding my dry ingredients, my dry seasoning, I then went in and I just kind of stirred things a bit. I stirred it up and then just to let things marinate a little, sit a little. Of course, it doesn't need to sit for long. The flavors will ooze out of the meat as soon as we start to brown the meat. So we're going to lightly sear the meat and then, we just cook it down in its own sauce and juices. So yummy. At this time, I'm going to be adding a little bit of browning. Now, this just to give it some dark color, so just a few drops. I would say about a quarter of a teaspoon. That's the amount I use on this, just to give it a darker color. Listen, as Jamaicans, we look at the color of the meat and the cut. See, my son just dropped his iPad right there in the middle of my recording. We pay attention to the color of the meat and the color of the gravy. So yes, we are going for that deep brown color. At some point, I did go in with some salt because I initially did not add salt to the meat as yet. Oh, there it is. I just went in with a pinch of salt because the soy sauce, as you know, is a bit salty or is salty, and so just a pinch of salt was needed, just to taste. It's optional. Going back in and giving it a good stir. Yes, let all the seasonings marinate and the color kind of just spread evenly throughout the meat here. Then I will let it sit for a while and marinate. I went ahead and I cut up some of my vegetables. Now my kids love carrot, I love onions, and of course green peppers. or what we call scallion. Put my pot on the fire. Now, some persons may want to add sweet pepper. If I'm doing this for myself, I'd add sweet pepper of every color, red, green, and yellows, or even an orange one. My kids don't like it. My husband doesn't like it either, and so I decided to skip that. But go ahead, feel free to add your sweet peppers. So my pot has warmed up to the desired temperature. Happily putting in each piece of meat. There we go, putting in nice slices, properly marinated. Putting them in one by one. There we go, still adding more meat. I can tell you the smell at this time, oh my goodness, and the sizzle. Nothing beats that sizzle. Then I realized that my pot is getting too crowded. My intention is for each piece of meat to come in contact with the bottom of the pot so that they can be properly seared. Here I'm having overcrowding. And I think it's at this point I realized that this won't work. So, like magic, I changed the pot. I had to change the pot because when the onions go in and the carrots go in, it would have been overloaded. And so here is my bigger pan. I'm more comfortable with this. As you can see, the meat is searing nicely, not being overcooked. Like I said, the slices were very thin, and so you only need to do this for about 8 to 10 minutes just to make sure that all the pieces of meat have been browned nicely. I am stirring again for a little bit, and then just to ensure that they're tender, like I said, it is for my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old, and of course my husband, he can chew the food a little better. I want to make sure that the pieces of meat were absolutely tender, and so I just covered the pot just to allow the meat to steam in its own juices a bit. So at this point, what you'll find happening is some moisture will start to form in the pot as well, and that will make the base for a little gravy action going on there. I also added a little bit of water, almost like a quarter cup of water, or a little less than that, I believe. And I'm just kind of moving things around because when I put my onions and my carrots in, I want them to cook for a bit as well. Right, so again, I added a little water and allowing that to cook until the meat is completely tender to my liking. Cook it to your liking, of course, however tender you want it or not. Cook it to your family's preferences. Listen, I'm new to this. I forgot to record the steps when I was putting in the onions, the carrot, and the scallion. But here it is in all its beauty. I can tell you, it smells great in the kitchen. My son is just walking around wondering when it's dinner time. This will be served with jasmine rice. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so yummy. I'll just allow the vegetables to cook a little bit, well, a little bit more, and then because I still like them crunchy, and then I'm going to serve it to my family. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what else you do. Tell me if you do anything differently. Of course, every household is different, and so you may have something that you do differently it would be nice to share, nice to see, nice to hear. Who knows, maybe another time, if I decide to cook this again, I could try out something that you suggested. All right, take care and thank you for watching.